Now, am I right in assuming that everyone here has gone through steps 1 through 22, so that the layout, as we said, now looks similar, that layout right there, or if we look at it in here, right there. All right, and that picture right there should be pretty much the same as the picture that you see here, and that picture right here should be pretty much the same as the picture that you see here. Does all that make sense? All right, I don't think I made any mistakes. Hey, it's me. So there's always that chance, but I don't think I made any mistakes. All right, I went back and tried to go over all the stuff. All right, I gave it a whole whopping 45 seconds or so to make sure I made no errors. All right, so as we pick it up then, that says now we want to specify the text for the literal controls. So we want to specify these. This is, I think, what Mark talked about. And I want to show you, because this is the way right here, if you follow the stuff on step 24, this is the way that Untitled tells you to do it, and it's fine. All right, but I just want to show you, so I'm going to grab all this stuff right here. The bad thing is, as I sometimes do, I've got some of this stuff on, let's see if it's going to be copied over from virtual to non-virtual desktop. Thank you. All right, so this is what we want to do. In other words, we want to set the string for 5 of these labels that we have in here. All right, again, going back and looking at it, 6, I guess. But going back and looking at it, when you look at it here, and we look at our finished product, notice what we have here. Label, 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 label. I think you'd all agree with that. To my knowledge, those right there, those 6 labels, amount text view, custom percent text view, percent 15 text view, percent custom text view, tip text view, and total text view. Those right there. All right, I believe that those are the ones that he is referring to here. All right, what we can do, he doesn't do this. The funny thing is, in the old version of his book, he did this, but he's not doing it now. The other thing that we can do, just so you know, it's not listed on here, but what we can do, if we want to, is we could go in and take these 4. These are just text views also. We could literally set them up so when the program starts, they would have like $00 or 0.00 in there. See what I'm saying? As of right now, when you go to run this, those fields will just be empty. So a lot of times it just depends on what do you want in there. All right? And I'll leave that up to you. All right, so I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to put in this stuff. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to come into here, and the first one that we want to change, according to this, is the amount text field. Well, you know as well as I do now that with the amount text field, I can come in here and boom, now it's highlighted. That makes sense, right? That's the easiest way. You don't have to double click it, you just single click on it to highlight it. All right, and I'm saying this, I'm not trying to be funny here, and I don't mean to pick on you, Mike, so please realize that in all seriousness, but if you take the iOS class next year, if you are planning on taking that one, the only reason I'm telling you this is when you go into that editor, you almost always have to single click. If you double click, you end up opening up what you want in a brand new window, so now you've got it open twice. So a lot of times I'm just going to say click, and if I want you to double click, I'll say to double click. All right, so again, I want to come in here, and this is the one I want to change. So if you look in here under values, one of the files that we have in here is a file that's called strings.xml. All right, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to open that file up. And you can see what we get in here. It's like, what the heck is this? All right, well, again, if you look, you'll notice that it's in here twice. It's in here under resources, and it's in here under strings XML. All right, if I were to use the strings XML, I could just go in and add these right in here. If I wanted to type in XML, I don't want to do that. All right. So I can come in through resources, and I think that's how he suggests that you do it. I find that confusing. All right? So I want to show you another way that he doesn't talk about real much in here, but I want to show it to you. So I'm going to come back into here, and what I just showed you, in this file, our activity file, remember what I just did here? I single-clicked on this to highlight it, right? Now, if I come up and I bring up my properties window, you'll notice that under text, it doesn't have anything. All right, it says text, it's got medium text. All right, fine. If I click here, notice that there's different ways that I can do this also. So I can click new string right here and I can put it in. So there's a lot of different ways that this can be done. Does that make sense? All right. And I'm going to try it from here. So don't try it with me yet, because I want to make sure that what I'm telling you is going to work correctly. All right, otherwise we'll go back and do it his way. So the first thing he tells us to do in here is he wants that to say, the string to say amount. Okay, works for me. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in amount, and down here amount. And why that for string and new R string? Because that's exactly what it told us to do here. Does that make sense? All right. All right. So now after I've done that, I'm just going to click OK. Now, again, I'm still not sure this worked the way I wanted it to work, so I'm going to check. And the way that I'm going to check is now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go back to this strings file, and I want to see if it added it. Notice it did. See that? So I didn't hard code the value in. The reason that you don't want to just hard code in the value, the reason you don't want to just hard code in that value is then you're making it locale specific. But now putting it this way and putting it into that strings.xml file, what that means is now if we want to, we can go in, and if we're going to do this, I think he even talks about it in his book, if you want to do it in French, all right, then you might have like a strings.fr/fr.xml file. So you could do it in different languages. So if I did that too quickly, I'm going to remove it. All right, we'll go back and we'll do it again. It's fine. So I'm getting rid of that. You haven't missed a thing. Okay. All right. So I removed that. So again, what I said was a way that we can do this is we go back to our activity main.xml file. All right. Everybody there? You're at activity main XML file. All right. I'm going to click on here. Now notice that mine says amount because I already changed it. Don't even look. Medium text, isn't that what it said? Okay, now it's back to where it looked like before. Okay, now yours should look like mine. But I want to click on this. All right, I clicked on that. Everybody done that? You just clicked on it, so you've highlighted. Now where it says text, down here in your properties window, find where it says text and click the ellipses, the 3 dots. And that's going to bring this up. Then click the button that says new string. And that's going to bring this up. Then I want this first one here to say amount, the top one, amount with a capital A. And down below it, not amount, and down below it, I want it to say amount with a lowercase a. All right? Again, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. There are plenty of ways this can be done. All right? Everybody has that? So I'm going to click OK and OK again. Now you may or may not have noticed, but it changed to amount right here. And it should have on yours also. All right, so the first one's done. Next, we're supposed to go up to where it says, we want to do the one that says custom percentage and custom tip percent. All right, well, where is that? It's the custom percent view. I don't remember where that is, so I'm looking here. Take a look. There's the custom percent text view right there. All right, so I'm now going to highlight this one right here. The one underneath the one I just did. Again, it currently says medium text, so I'm going to click the ellipsis, I'm going to click new string, and you know the drill now. I'm going to put in this, and I'm going to put in this. So you should have those two in there. And just so you know, just so everybody knows, remember back in the days of using Visual Studio? Like, God, I remember those days. I wish they were back. But you remember the days of Visual Studio? We had the name property and we had the text property, right? Correct? Look up on the screen here. That's the text property. That's the name property. So that's the name that you would use in code that's in blue right now. That's just what this is going to say. Does that make sense? Has everybody finished that one? So you've got custom space %, and then custom underscore tip underscore percentage. Click OK. Click OK again. Now that one should have changed. And don't worry if it looks like it's off the screen here. All right. I think I did them. Did I do them backwards? Okay. Then let's go look. Easy enough to change, right? All right. Let's do this. Let's click clear. There, now it's cleared. There, now it's not even, well, hopefully I didn't remove it. Oh, great, Jeff. There we go. Just do a, thank you, Control Z. All right. So, I'm going to go here to new string. All right. String and new R string. String should be cut. This should be right. That should be custom percentage. That's correct. And this should be custom underscore tip underscore percentage. I thought that's what I did. All right. Something up here it doesn't like. This right here where it's got all this custom tip percentage right there, that should say custom percent. I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't. Resolve value. Notice as soon as I put that in, it already has that. Okay, that's cool. So I'll tell you how I'll fix this. I'll go back to my strings.xml file, and that one that's in here, that means that one is here. Just going to remove that. All right, now it's gone. Now I shouldn't have any problem trying to put it in, although I thought it was incorrectly. Oops. Now I should be able to go back and change that to what it was, which was medium text. And it's back to where it was. Okay. Click the ellipsis. Click new string. Custom, not customer. Custom percentage. Custom tip percentage. That should be correct. Why is it putting it here? That's the exact same way I did the other one, and I've done this many times before. Never had a problem with it. String amount. You ever have one of those days you just kind of wish, I just wish I wouldn't even come in here today. So that's correct. That actually, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Unless somehow the percent sign's screwing up, which I don't know why it would. But that's the name, custom tip percentage. That's correct. There's the value, custom percentage. That should be correct the way it is. There's, in here, there's a space in here for the original one from Hello World. So that really and truly should not matter. I come back into here. Hey, I'd rather have it that way, to be honest with you. Honestly, I would. I just would like to, myself, for my own peace of mind, would like to know why it's doing that. Let's try that. Activity mean has been modified. Save the changes. Hell no. All right. So it's back to medium text for both of these. All right, so I'm going to come back and just try doing it the same way I showed it to you before. It's got them out. That looks good. That's a start, but that's what it did before too. This one, did you see it change and then it changed it back? Did you see that? It said, boom, it went boom, boom. It said custom tip percentage, and then changed it back to custom percentage. Up here. All right. Yeah, it looks okay. All right, so we've got this one done. And we've got this one done. Boy, that didn't take much time. All right. So now we've, yeah, just about. Now we've got the percent 15 text view and the percent custom text view. All right, so where are those? The percent 15 text view is right here. The percent custom text view is right there. Does that make sense? That's these two that are right here. So they're the two text views that are right below your seek bar. All right? So, first one should say 15%. And the next one should say 18%. Okay. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. That's next class. All right. So again, we want this to say 15% and then 15 underscore percent, 18%, and then 18 underscore percent. That's the goal here. There's the first one. I'll click on the second one. It might take a second to reset itself here. Remember, these are things that are in here that you might conceivably be, for the new R string, that you might be using, to write code with. All right, you might. All right, right, I'm not saying you will, but you might. So you want to make sure that, you probably want to make sure that you typed them in and you didn't have any spelling errors in there. So there's my 15%, there's my 18%. Those two are done. So far in here I've got these done. So what's left are tip text view and total text view. Tip text view is right there, and total text view is right there. These two that are down here. Okay? It's nice because I only wanted to say tip, tip, and total, total. So now if you take a look up on the screen here, at least ideally, it's looking a lot more like a finished product if you look up on my screen here. So again, I don't have to do this. All right, I don't have to do what I'm about to show you. I don't have to do it. Did you hear that? But it's not in the book either. But I'm going to put zeros here, 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 and here. Now, you say, well, I can do that. If you'd watch me do it for a second because I want to show you something, okay? So I'm going to go to the first one here. And I'm going to put in here, again, do string, 00.00. I'll leave the $sign off. And I'm going to type in here zeros. Okay? So I'm going to put that in like that. Then I'm going to click OK, click on this, and click OK. All right? So that one's done. But now I want to click on the next one. I could do the same thing, but why should I have to? In other words, now why can't I just go in here and choose zeros and click OK? See that? So if you've got strings that you're going to be using many times, it doesn't, if it's the same string, it doesn't make sense to create a bunch of different string variables. If you're going to use the same one 4 times like this, why don't I just create it once and then use it 4 times, which is what I'm doing right now. All right, so again, if you take a look at what's in here now, looks a little pushed together because guess what? It's a little pushed together. All right. But what we have done, at least to my knowledge, is we've now come in and done everything that's here in step 24. All right. All right. We're going to have a talk, literally, when we start next semester, because I have no problem going through a few of the programs that are in the book like this, but I don't want the whole class next semester to be a class like that. In other words, I want it to be 6, 8, 9 weeks or whatever, and we'll do 2 or 3 projects as a class. Then I want to turn you loose, and I want you to do your own. All right. So we're on step 25. It's not in there. I said that, Mark. It's not in there. No, but what he did in the former version of his book was he put them in. Now he took them out. I don't know why. All right, so you didn't have to do that. If you're still saying medium text, that's not a problem. All right, it really and truly is not a problem at all. All right, it says currently each of the left column's text views are right aligned. All right, for the amount text view, the custom text view, the tip text view, and the total text view, set the layout gravity property to right. Like, what? Then let's take a second and look at it. What he's saying is these 4 right here, those 4. And I may have typed it in wrong because I think they're left, but it doesn't matter. Now what am I going to do? I'm single clicking on the first one. I'm holding down on the shift on the control key, and I'm going to click. I thought we could do multiple ones. All right, on the shift key, and I'm going to click all of them. So now they're all highlighted. See what I did? I clicked on the first one, held down on the shift key, clicked on the second one, then clicked on the third one, then clicked on the fourth one. And I wanted to see if we came in here, if we could set all those at once. And maybe we can't. All right. The ID you wouldn't expect you'd be able to do. Doesn't appear that it likes that. All right, then I'll do them one at a time. So I'll click on the first one. I'll click on amount. And as it says here, I think there is a way to do it. I'm just not showing you it correctly. So what we're supposed to do here, when we I'm just clicking on amount now. All right, we're supposed to set the layout gravity under the layout parameter section to right. All right, so again, we want to look in here and we want to find layout parameters. Yours may not be, if yours has a plus sign right now, then click the plus sign. Find the gravity. You can manually type it in, or I can choose from down here. You say it's not there. Yes, it is. I have to go down far enough, but well, that's interesting. I should be able to go in here, and if I want to, just type in right manually if I want to, and hit enter. You may or may not have been able to tell, but it just right justified this. Now I'm going to do the same thing with a custom percent. Now that's right justified. Now I'm going to do the same thing with whatever the next thing is. Now that's right justified. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the total at the end. Now that's right justified. Now again, you might say, well, Jeff, you made it look a lot uglier. And I'm not even going to fight with you on that, because what we're doing is we're just doing this right now. So we're doing that 0th column right there, or column 1, whatever you want to call it. Does that make sense? That's all we're changing. So the rest of it may look funky right now. It'll look better as we go on. You'll have to take my word for it, but it'll look better as we go on. Now, did what we just did make sense to people? Were you able to go in there and do that for each one of those? You highlighted the ones individually, the amount, the custom, the tip, and the total. For each one of those, if your layout parameters thing is closed, then it has a plus sign there. Then you click the plus to open it, you go down and you find gravity, and you change that to right. That makes that particular text view or label, whatever you want to call it, it makes it right justified. So that's what mine looks like right now. All right, I'm going to jump back. So now we've done step 25. All right. Now, please look at this. We'll do it. We'll do one or two as a class, but look at this, because you start to see the tie-in here that Android actually has with HTML. All right. It says typically each edit text has a descriptive text view that is used to help understand its purpose. It's also helpful with accessibility, and it keeps a product that you can run that's called Android Lint. It keeps it from issuing a warning. So what they're saying is it's very similar to when you have an HTML file and you create a label and you say 4 equals, all right, and you map that, typically that label will be matched up rather with a text input or something in HTML. We're doing the same thing here. All right. So it says, so set the text view's label 4 property to the ID of the associated edit text. All right. And again, does that, what? Let's look at this in English. It says right here, amount, right? That's amount. Everybody agree with that? That's the amount. All right. We should set its 4 property to whatever that's going to be called. We should set the 4 property of this to whatever that's going to be called. The 4 property of this to whatever that's going to be called, etc. That's what the author is saying. Does that make sense? Now, if that confuses you, you might want to go and take a look here and take a look at the actual picture. So what he's saying is, all right, this is the amount display text view, and we should have the 4 property, the label 4 property, whatever they called it, for this right there. That should be set to this name. That should be set to this name. That should be set to this name. All right. I guess that one should be set to this name, that one to this name, etc. Does that make sense? What we're doing is a mapping. The program will still work if you don't do this step. But what the author is saying is, if you know, again, this almost sounds funny in a perverted type of way, in that I wouldn't probably be expecting people, for example, that are blind to be using this app. Seriously. But if they were, or if we added talking to it or something like that, what we're doing is we're establishing the relationship between the label and the thing that the label is representing. That's what the author is saying. All right? So it says, so set the text views label for the property to the ID of the associated edit text. For example, set the amount text, all right, to, for that, you know, as it says in the label for property. Set it to that. All right, since that's the only one that I put here, let's just do that one. All right, so if I went too fast or if I confused you, then let's do that, just do that one. So it's saying click on this right here. All right, and somewhere in here, there should be a property that's called label for. Way down at the bottom. All right, I'll take your word for it. There, see it there? And what we're told here is what we want to put in there is this. So I'll copy it. And in here, again, for label 4, all right, I'm just going to manually paste it in. And if I did it too fast or if you can't read it, I'll stretch it out a bit. @ ID / amount edit text, which says that label is being used for that edit text box. And I don't believe that when we did this last year, we even did this, because accessibility is becoming more and more important as time goes on. So now you don't have to do this, but just to show it to you, I can again click on the custom one, go over to label 4. I can, and what I want that to be is, what is it? What was that called? Custom tip seek bar or something like that? Custom tip seek bar. Okay. I'm just going to do those two, right? I just want us to go on. We can go back. I'll try to remember to go back and change those before I save this and put it out there next week. All right. Now again, I'm not trying to put anything over on you. And if you might say, you know, this sort of makes sense, but it would be nicer to have a book. Well, that's what the book is next semester. This program is taken right out of the book you're going to use next semester. That book has about a dozen chapters in it. By the end of week 1, we're going to be through the first 3 chapters of the book, because this is chapter 3. And what I want to do before we break, when I say break, I mean for Christmas break, not for Thanksgiving. But before we break, I'm going to go from the Untitled book, I'm going to go over chapter 1, and I'm going to go over chapter 2. And chapter 2, boy, it's a real tough one. You make Hello World, and then you grab, for some reason, Untitleds are into bugs. Literally, when they have images, they put bugs all over the place. I don't know why, but they do. I think the reason that they do is O'Reilly uses animals, and I think they wanted their own little thing, so they started using bugs. So what we're going to do the last week of class is we're going to build another Hello World, but I'm going to show you how you can incorporate images into that. And it'll come up, and it's got, I think it's a little bug that's going like this. It says, "Welcome to Android," and the bug is kind of giving you a thumbs up. And that's chapter 2 of the book. Chapter 1 is why you should use Android. You might think, God, I better read that because I don't know right now why to use Android. But again, 75% of the market. But think about it, 75% of the market, yet it's battling a company that's worth almost $1 trillion. So the company it's fighting isn't about to go away. And if they do go away, they're not going to go away quietly. It's the same kind of way with IE and the browser wars. They're not going away. it's also because the people who want to put apps out there, you could take an app, you could take this app when you get done with it rather. You can hook your phone up right now and run it. Boom. You can email it to yourself. Yeah. I think it's the APK you have to email, I believe. And boom, you unzip it basically, and I don't even know if you have to unzip it, and you just run it. Plus it's $25 to sign up for the App Store, and it's a one-time cost. For the Mac, for Apple, it's $99 a year. No, it's once every year. Yeah. Also known as annual. Yeah. I'll remember that. All right. So we've now basically gone through step 26. Okay? All right. So let's jump up to step 27 here. Now, look at the step before we do anything. All right? It says in the final app, the amount edit text is hidden behind the amount display text view and is configured to only allow digits to be input by the user. In English, again, what the author is saying is when you run this, you only want the user for the amount to be able to put digits in there. Does that make sense? You can't even put a decimal place in there. That's going to be in there for you automatically anyway. Don't put it in. All right? So that's what they're talking about right here. So they say in the properties, so it says select the amount, edit text, and set the following properties. In the properties window, layout parameter section, set the width and the height to wrap content, which indicates, now notice what it says. Wrap content means that the edit text should be just large enough to fit its content, all right, including any padding. So in other words, what that means is, let's assume for a second that this was our screen, all right, and you've got all that stuff up here. So we've got what, amount, and we've got the box. You get all that stuff. So let's just pretend I drew the whole thing in there, okay? If you've got wrap content, and let's say that right here, let's say that right now that's all we had. So let's say we're building this thing very incrementally, okay? So right now, if this was set to wrap content, okay, that's how much this would take up. But if it was set to fill parent, since there isn't anything else in here, that's when those of you who had this thing filling up the entire screen, that's why you had it, because yours was set to fill parent. So wrap content says just take up the space that you need and no more. Fill parent says grab everything that you can in the area that you're in. Do you understand the difference? All right. If you don't, I gave you a thing out here that you can look at, plus last week, and I put that out there, that URL for that 5-minute video where the author, he did a real nice job of explaining that. Just a simple YouTube video where he did both of them to show you the difference. So if you're still confused on that, all right, like I said, it's not my goal here. I have plenty of time to confuse you. I don't want to confuse you now, all right? But if that does confuse you, again, you don't have to do this, but if you watch me for a second here. Last week, that was wrap content versus, and that's that thing, this dibsolution.com tutorial. So that's out there. So if you're still confused by that, go take a look at that. Like I said, it's about 5 or 6 minutes long. All right? And if you say, oh, I don't have 5 or 6 minutes, then I do feel bad for you. All right? So Mike watch it the next time Cody comes over. He says, hey, can I talk to you? I'd love to talk to you, son, but I got to watch a video. Yeah, if I can call you Dad. There. All right. So as it says, for the amount edit text, so we want to grab that. All right? And the easiest way for me to grab it is to just find it up here. There it is. So I'm going to click on there. There it is. All right? And now that I've grabbed it, all right, again, I'm supposed to find the layout parameters section and set the width and the height to wrap content. Label parameters. All right, there's the width, and notice wrap content. I can double click on it and it'll set it. Height, I can double click on it and it'll set it. So now they've both been set. You can manually type it in also. Sometimes people are just not happy unless they're typing it in themselves. So we set it to wrap content. Now, once we've done that, sometimes when you do this and you move off, it doesn't look any different. And if it doesn't, don't let that worry you. All right? Again, as we talked about last time, we're still building the interface. We haven't even talked yet about the code that's going to be involved in this. What are we supposed to set it to? No, it's here. I just moved off of it. All right. Amount edit text view. No, what is it? Which one are we setting here? Is it amount edit text? Amount edit text. All right. And they're supposed to be set to what? They're supposed to be set wrap content. The amount edit text is supposed to be set to wrap content. Amount edit text and my width and my height are both set to wrap content, as far as I can tell. See, part of the problem with this is a lot of times if I tell you how to do something and you start looking on your own, oh look, there's another way I can do it. And yeah, with most of this stuff, there's sometimes close to a half dozen ways of doing the same thing. Don't let yourself get so wrapped up in that you're missing out on the content and exactly what's happening here. All right. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that we're supposed to do here in these steps. That was step A. Okay, so let's see if we can get through step B and then we'll call it a period. All right, remove the layout gravity value, fill horizontal, leaving the property's value blank, which typically means you're going to reset it later. All right, so find the layout gravity value on this same field that we're just in. All right, and right now, as you see, it's right up above the ones we just looked at, right? And it says fill horizontal. So it's right, this is right up above. That is what we just looked at, right up above. All right, so it says remove it. In other words, leave it blank. So I've got it fill horizontal. I'm going to highlight it. Boom. And again, once I do that, it may not really look any different. That's okay. All right. Remove the EMS property. If you don't know what that is, you should. If you don't know what that is, shame on your instructor, whether it was me or somebody else. EMS actually means something. M is basically the size or the amount of a capital M. All right? So when you're setting font size, M's are things that are used oft times. And the reason that you oft times will use a field like M's is they're more scalable for different devices than pixels are. I mean, 30 pixels is 30 pixels. Doesn't matter if it's on a cell phone, on a tablet, or on a desktop or a TV. Doesn't matter. But M's, what it tries to do is it tries to change its size based on the font size for the device that you're using. So we're trying to make this somewhat responsive. All right, it says remove the EMS property. It says this causes the second column to be too narrow. So this default setting is removed. So I'm going to look for the EMS property on here. Well, I see one that just says M's, and it's got 10 on it right now. That's about a third of the way down. And I believe that's the one that they mean. You know, the good news is, even if we totally hose this up, we already have the authors. You know, that's why it's good to try this stuff, even if you make a mistake or two along the way, so what? All right, so I'm removing that from 10 to 0. Well, if you have one that says M's on it, if yours doesn't say anything, you're already set. what? If you don't see it, it already may be set. Take a look on mine. Do you see M's anymore? I don't. It was just on there. So it's possible, if it's not showing, that it's already set to nothing. And it still says it? I don't know. No idea why that would be. Okay, please do. All right. Okay. In the Properties window, Property Windows Text View section, all right, set digits to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which means numeric only. And the reason that that's important, as it says here, is when you bring up the numeric keyboard, it's still going to have a plus sign on it, it'll have a minus sign on it, and it'll have a comma on it and a space bar on it. We won't allow any of those to be used for input. All right, so I'm gonna in the Property Windows Text View section, somewhere in here it should say Text View. Right there. All right, so it says in here, what do we want to put in? It says we want 0, come on. All right, notice mine had a plus sign on it, which means I can come in here. When I click the plus, it opened it up so it says text. All right, and I believe that's what it said we were supposed to be changing here. It said digits. No, so I'm wrong. I'm looking for something that says digits and I don't see it. I'm going to just try in the text right here, just putting in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if I do that, I was going to say what I might do is just change what's in the text box right there, and that's what it did. But I wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have tried. All right. Property Windows Text View section, set digits to only allow that. By default, the digits is not displayed. See this? By default, it's not displayed, as it's considered an advanced property. It says to display it, click the Show Advanced Properties toggle button at the top. That's why, Jeff, you should always read the entire line, the entire thing. All right, so what that's saying is go back to here, and one of these buttons up here should say Show Advanced Properties, like maybe the first one. So I'm going to click that. All right. It's not impossible we still won't see it, but I'm looking. You have one that says digits under text view here. There's links clicked, and there's digits. There we go. Thank you. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't put any spaces in there. All right. And think about what you're doing here. In a way, you're writing a regular expression pattern. It's almost like when we talked about regular expression patterns and we did this, which means you can have anything in there between 0 and 9. You're doing kind of the same thing in here. All right. Do that. I'm going to hit enter. Now it doesn't show in here. That's a good thing. And I'm going to jump back because we're almost done with this step. It says in the app, the max bill is 6 digits. In other words, the biggest bill you should, I mean, you're going out to the restaurants and you're spending over 10 grand. It shouldn't be here. So it says in the Property Windows Text View section, set the max length property to 6. So somewhere in here there should also be a max length. I'm just going back up to the top and then start looking. Still looking. You saw it? All right. Max lines. Max height, max width. There it is, max length. 6. And enter. All right. I'm fine time to save. All right, it is 2:50. So not as much progress today, but we're up to step 28. Okay. So we'll go through this first, as it says there. We'll try to complete this, which is step 28. Then we'll do the next, we'll complete that, step 29, then that for step 30, for step 31, 32, and 33. Again, all the stuff that we're doing right now is all aesthetic in nature. If it takes us the whole period next time to get this done, then that's what it does. It's fine. All right, so I'm going to come back to here. I've already saved. I think the emulator is up and running. Always a fine time to come in here, right mouse click, and do a run as Android app. You can't say that you don't have a big enough emulator showing them, you know. And I'll leave that up even if it takes a couple minutes. And try to show you at the beginning of the next class. Okay? Done in the next class, we'll just assume it'll work. All right, I'll take everything that we've got here. I'm going to take mine again and put it out into a folder. And that folder will be under 12-01-2014. So Kelly or Zane or anybody else who's behind now, or Zach or Laura, you know, can hopefully catch back up. Usually when you get that message, if you click OK, what you should notice is somewhere in one of your folders on the side, you should have something that's got a red X in it. What's that? Just my tip calculator, or do any of the other folders underneath it have a red X in it? Because I'm not offhand, I just, you know, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what the problem would be. What's that? Well, sometimes too, when you've got problems like this, what you have to do is you have to go back and do what's called clean your project, to do a clean on it. Sometimes, I don't know if I remember if that's under project or what, but so you have to come in here and do this. You have to literally come in and do a project clean. And you can select all of them, or you can just select the current project. It doesn't really matter, but at least the current one should be selected. That may or may not fix what your problem is. I mean, if you keyed in something incorrect, and I'm not saying you did, but if you, that's why I said if you, but I'm saying if, let's put it this way, you may say you didn't, but you know this, Mike, because you've been married a few years. You know, using the software here is like arguing with your wife. Doesn't matter how right you are. In the end, you're wrong anyway. And that's the way it is with the software. If the software thinks you did something wrong, you did something wrong, whether you think you did or not. Probably was